take the statue down, but Robert E. Lee was an important figure in American history, and he has a big part in American heritage today.
All right, so I see both sides of the issue. I see why people want to take it down. I see why people want it up. But in my personal opinion, I think that we should keep it up because it is a part of American history. And I think that even though it's a painful piece of history, I think that having that reminder there helps us kind of remember what happened back then so we can avoid the issues in the future. I think just trying to get rid of it doesn't solve the problem. I think it just tries to hide it.
I do believe that the monuments should be removed. It's important to remember your history and where you came from, but at the same time it would send a very good message to hate groups that this doesn't have a place in our society anymore, and it is very important to send those messages that it's not okay, because a lot of it has been normalized in recent news.
My thinking on this topic has evolved, especially in reaction to events in Charlottesville, Virginia. Whereas even last year, I approached this from the standpoint of historic preservation, suggesting that monuments should be maintained with proper contextualization and interpretation. I increasingly now think that communities are going to have to seriously consider removing monuments and placing them in an entirely different context. They have simply become lightning rods. They're too volatile. The context themselves, no matter what type of interpretation has been lent, is inadequate. And I think that they reify notions of white supremacy upon the landscape. Therefore, monuments in most instances, not all, I think this is a community by community decision that has to be made, but in most instances I think they should be removed and properly contextualized within the context of museums where interpretive signage can be added and these monuments can be explained. Many of these monuments are products not of the American Civil War, but instead of the Jim Crow era. Many were put up between the 1880s and the 1920s, during a time in which African Americans lost many political rights, in which inequality was practiced across the landscape, and these were very much kind of aggressive symbols placed upon the public arena, trying to capture the public arena, reassert a vision of white supremacy that had been enacted before the American Civil War. And so in all these instances, we have a very complicated history associated with these monuments, and leaving them as they are in the current form simply can't convey that complexity.
I think that we as Americans would seriously regret taking down or defacing any American monument, anything that's representative of our history, of who we are, where we came from. We can't erase history, the positive parts of it or the negative parts of it. It's all there. It all led us to where we are today. And those statues help us remember the good as well as the bad, and that's why they should stay.
No, I don't think that the monuments should be removed because they are part of history and we can learn from history, and we should cherish history.